Thanks for doing this, man.
My pleasure.
Very excited.
My pleasure, Mike.
All right, here we go.
Joe Rogan Podcast, check it out.
The Joe Rogan Experience.
Train by day, Joe Rogan Podcast by night, all day.
There's only been 2 people ever that Dennis McKenna has recommended for this podcast. You and Josh Wickerham. So that puts you in very lofty company.
Aye.
Dahmer, that's the way?
Damer.
Bruce
or
Damer.
If you're French, it's Damer, but...
Is that how your family pronounces it? Is that like the correct way?
Damer is the best.
But do your friends call you Damer? Does anybody give you full respect in the French heritage?
No, that's 1,000 years ago.
They gave it up after a while?
They gave it up after they invaded Britain.
Oh.
1066.
That's clever. That's a good move. You got a very unusual background, man. I mean, Dennis would not stop raving about you. And then when I started doing research on you, I was like, this is the craziest story of all time. Not the craziest, but it's pretty crazy. You were in Burning Man during Katrina you were partying in Burning Man with people who work in the Pentagon.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
When Katrina went down.
Yep. Camp Plyagon.
That is the most ridiculous thing. That gives me great discomfort to know the people who work in the Pentagon are partying at Burning Man.
Rockin'. We called for Blackhawks, but we got the order denied. But that's a whole story.
Well, when Katrina was happening, you guys were amongst the people that were in Burning Man, the very few that had a connection to the outside world. Correct?
Yeah, we had our camp was doing the Wi-Fi and the internet for Burning Man, for the public and emergency networks, the private network. And so we had a dish and we could take over satellites. So one of our guys took over a recon satellite. Took it offline.
Is that legal? Is that legal or is that a Pentagon move?
It's a Pentagon move. So he took this thing offline, and I'd actually been at it's an NRO, National Reconnaissance Office. I had been at an NRO launch just the year before, and then I look over and I see the logo on the laptop, and I say, "What are you doing?" To this man who remained nameless. And he said, "Shut up," and turned his laptop away, and he pounded in a code, and he took this thing offline. And so our Iridium phone rang, this Pentagon wireless satellite phone that's like the general on the other side is saying, "What's going on?" And basically he instructed the guy not to answer. So we then had control of this thing, and we could watch Katrina come in.
Whoa.
Because the government wasn't doing anything with all these national resource assets to help people. And this was the frustration that he had. He wanted to be evacuated, to be taken out off Playa with Blackhawks and heavy-duty helicopters, because he had just come back from the Asian tsunami, the Bande Aceh event. And then he went straight to Afghanistan, and then he went to Baghdad, and then he came to Burning Man. I looked at this man's face, and it was like lined deeply, just unbelievable stress. Can you imagine? This was his job. He works on Title 10 money doing extreme comms, extreme emergency relief efforts. And he's invented all this shit, like cell phones that come down on parachutes that'll run for a month, and people pick up these cell phones and push a button, and there's somebody who speaks Tagalog right there to say, "What do you need? What's your position?"
Whoa.
Isn't that cool?
That's amazing.
It's amazing.
The cell phones run for a month?
They're like in rubberized cases. This guy's invented all this technology.
So this rubberized case just has a massive battery in it that comes pre-charged?
Yep.
Wow.
So this guy is, really thinking. So here we have a natural disaster happening in our own country, barreling in. Nobody at Burning Man knows about it because there's no cell phone service.
Right.
Then, back in 2007. It's barreling in, and 2005 rather. And we watch it coming in. Now, the amazing thing is we saw it. You could watch video from orbit on this screen, on this guy's screen, and you could watch people walking down. Like, we saw a levee breach, the first levee breach in, the 9th Ward or something. We saw that on the screen from our camp at Burning Man.
So when you say you took over satellites that are broadcasting, what is it, broadcasting media? Is it news?
It's high-res reconnaissance imagery.
Okay, so it's a satellite that is like one of those spying on bad guy satellites.
Exactly.
Whoa.
Yeah. Now
That's deep.
we couldn't read. I
Are
could
you
tell-
allowed to talk about this?
You know,
If someone finds out about that, is this an issue?
I don't think so. I mean, I'm not.
That
used,
seems like something that would be really frowned upon.
well, the phone, the Iridium phone kept ringing.
Yeah, it's like your dad's calling. You're having a party. The neighbors are calling your dad, going, "Hey, man, I don't know what your son's doing, but the lights are on. There's a million people on your front
That's
lawn,"
right.
and the phone just keeps ringing, and you're like,
But these guys knew who they're dealing with. This is this innovative genius type guy that is totally respected in the organization. So the general that initiated the inquiry was covering for him.
I see.
So that the general could then contact Space Command and say, I can't get any information. You know?
Oh, okay.
So
I see.
He had put the satellite in some kind of fail-safe fallback mode. So they would spend the next several days trying to get back into it.
Whoa.
Right,
And
so-
so he was just like
We could-
bypassing it and keeping
Yep,
them out.
burn hydrazine and locate, stuff on the playa.
Wow. So how in
He didn't
2005?
tell me all the details, but he said basically, I'm doing this.
Right. What kind of satellite internet connection was available in 2005? It was a very slow upload,
yeah.
a little bit quicker download, but still pretty whack, right?
By that time, the next year, I think they got the big tower on the playa, which had the dish that went right to Gerlach with an OC3 connection. But
What
until
does that mean? What did you just
it's
say?
like a really fast, sort of almost like a radar
Gerlach?
dish.
What is Gerlach?
Gerlach. Oh, you haven't been out there, huh?
No, I love hippies in small doses. Hippies to me are like pizza. I just can't eat pizza every day for like a month.
I was with, but you can hang around Pentagon people and
Yes, I could probably hang around your camp, but if I went out there with the really dirty people,
with Sherpas.
Sherpas,
That's
they brought Sherpas.
They're white people. but
White
they're-
Sherpas.
They're servers for the billionaires in their billionaire camps,
Oh, that's too much.
and they have walls of motorhomes around.
I want to hang out with 100,000 in air camp. I don't want to hang out with a billionaire camp. I want to hang out with people who are like in RVs and like everybody's clean, but I don't need Sherpas.
Well, here's a secret that I'll tell you on here.
Oh, well, it won't be a secret.
It won't be a secret.
Might want to mime it.
So Dennis hasn't been to Burning Man.
Dennis McKenna. Good. Me and him, same page.
So
Two old guys who don't want to party with young kids.
So I told him that to tell you that Dennis would only go to Burning Man if you went.
Oh, did you do it the opposite way?
I did the
playing us
opposite way.
against each other?
There you go.
Yeah, that doesn't work with me, but thanks. That's sweet.
So Gerlach is
I would go anywhere with him, though.
You
honestly.
go anywhere with Dennis.
Yeah, I really would go with him, just to talk to him for days.
Yeah, he's amazing. The world's most amazing teddy bear.
Yeah, he explained the stoned ape theory in a way that I've never heard anybody explain before, with science and the way that psilocybin interacts with the human mind in a way it was like, oh yeah, that had to be a part of it. I'm sure there's many factors that led to the increase in human brain size, but when he describes it, you're like, oh, it's fucking mushrooms. It has to be.
Yeah. And we were at a meeting, an event yesterday where all the psilocybin research was being presented by the Johns Hopkins teams and UCLA and Madison. These people are doing psilocybin funded research for smoking cessation,
Yes.
end of life, reduction of anxiety and PTSD. And